si ve happy, si ve good, ooh, oh, mama. Oh gosh, okay, I have lots of fun with myself every time it's time to film. I just go off of different tangents, and yeah, this is what happens. You just end up watching me do silly things. Anyways, roll intro. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It always surprises me whenever I say that, like, right, yes, I have a YouTube channel. But welcome and hi, thank you for tuning into this video. I am Kelly Pantroko, marketer, content creator and flat lay photographer, and I love to keep it all things lifestyle, photography and vlogs around here. So if that's the kind of content you are keen on, interested in, well then stick around and subscribe if you feel like it. You totally don't have to do it. I'm not here to pressure you into subscribing to my channel. Just feel out the vibe, see if you like my content, and if you do, okay, let's keep it going. But today's video is all about the essentials that I use when it comes to creating content. So whether it's for, you know, my social media, for my website or blog, for the brands I get to work with, naturally there is equipment that I need to use in order to produce the quality content, whether it's videos, photos, written content. These are the essentials, basically like the bits and pieces of equipment that I will reach for every single time, because I know that it will deliver on what I need in order to produce the very content that's required. So without further ado, without any me chattering and going off for days, let's jump right into the cameras that I use. So the first camera is the Instax Mini 9. I've got it right here. This is like the OG film camera from Fujifilm. It's not necessarily like a film camera per se, but it produces film like pretty instantly, as opposed to having to go to a Photoshop and have to go get your film developed. This one, you know, it just pops out of the camera itself. I consider this to be like the OG of the Instax film camera like family that I think Fujifilm has gone on to create. Yeah, remember like when they came out in different colors, you know, you had that pink and you had the blue, and I think it came out in green. I bought mine in like the smoky, I think it's like smoky white, it's what it's called. I don't necessarily use this like frequently, like all the time when I'm creating content, but I do love to use the film that I produce to use that as props for my flat lays. So you'll see I have little film pictures in my flat lay photos, and I feel like it adds such a nice like personal feel and touch to my flat lays, especially if it's just like flat lays that I'm just sharing on my socials, right? I really do enjoy using this Instax camera. I also just have a lot of the photos on my fridge, so it's just like personal content that I use this camera for. But when it comes to content, primarily I'm using this camera to produce film so that I can use those film photos in my flat lay photos. I think I actually also used a film photo once for a reel that went really viral, I guess I could say, in terms of Instagram. That's the Instax Mini 9 camera. Not something I use frequently, but it is a nice to have, and an essential in the sense that it's the film that it produces that I love to use for my flat lay photos. So moving on to my workhorse, which is my Canon 4000D. This is my baby. It is the very first DSLR camera, actually like just the first camera ever that I bought with my own money. I remember I was working on a campaign, and it was a 3-month campaign, and they were paying me a particular fee every month. And so by the time that campaign ended, I had saved all of that money up so that I could get myself a DSLR camera, because at the time I'd been using a bridge camera, and I'd been using that for all of my varsity career, so like 3 years, where I was learning about photography, you know, learning about content creation, and using that camera to helped me produce the type of content I needed. YouTube videos, photos, my flat lay photos, any partnerships, collaborations I did with brands, like that was the workhorse that I was using back in varsity, which was basically 2015 to 2018. But then I decided to upgrade in 2018 and get myself the 4000D. The reason why I upgraded was because, you know, I wanted to take my content seriously. I wanted to take my flat lay photography seriously. And so I just felt that I needed a camera that could now keep up and really help me better produce some photos and content that I wanted to at the time. And I didn't have that much money. And I'm not like sitting here with racks of cash, but from the money that I was able to save from the campaign, together with the fact that this camera at the time, I think it was on sale for maybe like 4,000 Rand, which included the camera, a kit lens, it included a 16 gig memory card and like a camera bag. Like that was an absolute steal for me. I got that from Orms, and yeah, it's just been here with me for so long. It's my baby. I do plan on upgrading and getting a new DSLR camera, and I think it's just going to be my last DSLR camera because I think Canon's kind of phasing them out. I'm hearing rumors, allegedly, that Canon might be phasing out, you know, DSLR cameras and make the move towards mirrorless. But yeah, I do have a special feel for my 4000D. It really has just, yeah, my content really did get better. It really was just so much better quality. I got to really like explore my photography a lot more. I really got to hone in on my flat lay photography. Videos were pretty tough to make and create with this camera because this doesn't have a flip out screen, unfortunately. So it was pretty tough to try and produce YouTube videos with this, just because, oh goodness me, I had a lot of like shuffling that I had to do in terms of seeing if I was in focus and in frame. And even though it was a bit of a toughie when it came to producing videos, it was such a pleasure to create photos with this. I still do to this day, just because, yeah, I'm like, once I need to upgrade, I will upgrade. You know, I don't like to buy gear for the sake of it being new and all the creators have it, and I feel this like pressure to buy something new. If it ain't broken, like there's no need to fix it. And yeah, my 4000D has just been great. But yeah, speaking of mirrorless cameras, so the one that I do own, and I will definitely say matches the amount of work it does with my 4000D, is my Sony a6600, which is what I'm filming my video right now with. And it's also actually the camera that I use to film a lot more of my recent videos. So I think my moving video I did, my last, you know, junior to manager video that I did where I sat down and I was talking to you guys, like I was using my Sony a6600. And this camera, wow, I actually won this camera in a competition. Someone had nominated me as like a female, South African female photographer who was killing it. And yeah, we ended up winning. So both myself and the nominee actually won this camera. And yeah, as much as I haven't like spoken about it a lot, or I haven't like shared what type of content I create with my mirrorless camera, rest assured, yeah, like basically, well, I can't say 90 because I've been filming other YouTube videos with the 4000D, but this one specifically is very much more of like a video camera. What I've noticed, you know, between the Canon and the Sony that I do own is that like Canon makes really great cameras for photography. Like the lens range is amazing, like you can't go wrong. I will always go for Canon when it comes to photos. Videos on the other hand, you know, this Sony that I've been using, it's just been so wow. Like it's been, oh gosh, I think it's another video that I have to create in terms of like the beauty of using a mirrorless camera and why my experience with the Sony a6600 has been really great in terms of like the videos that I'm making. But yeah, I feel like I'm rambling now. The Sony a6600, that is the camera that I use for my videos, my YouTube videos. There's a couple of reels I think that I've created using footage that I used from the a6600, and it's definitely going to be a camera that I will continue to use for all of my videos. The bonus for me is that it has a flip out screen, so I can actually see myself. I can, yeah, just a better gauge if I'm in frame, in focus. I'm able to link up my microphone to the camera, so you know, the better audio quality that I want, I can get that with this camera. But yeah, like it's also a really great photo camera as well. I love this one. So it has, what's the lens? I think it's an 18 to 135, I think. Might be mistaken. It's an 18 to 135 lens, which is pretty standard if you buy this camera. That's the lens, that's its kit lens, and it's a beautiful lens with this camera. Like, I can do so much with the Sony a6600 and this lens. You know, I can go from doing flat lays to doing portraits, to doing self-portraits, to doing landscapes. Like, the versatility and the freedom I feel like I have with this camera is really great. And so it's also a very big essential in terms of the content I create, in terms of the photos I take. It's part of the camera bag. It's part of the content creation station. So in terms of, it being another workhorse for me in my content creation and my photography, the Sony a6600 is definitely up there in terms of how much I use it on a very regular basis, even just for content that's for my Instagram, for photos that I need for my blog or website. It's a workhorse as well. So it's right up there in terms of being an essential for me. Okay, cool. Let's chat about lenses. Okay, so as I already mentioned with my Sony a6600, I am using the 18 to 135 millimeter. So this lens is basically Sony's like kit lens, I guess I could say, when it comes to this mirrorless camera, that 18 to 135. The other lenses that I use specifically for my Canon, which are the essentials, because I have other lenses that are available for me to use, but they just aren't like essentials. They're not, lenses that I reach out for every time I need to create content or take a photo. So the first lens that I'm always using with my Canon 4000D is the 18 to 55 millimeter, and that of course is Canon's like standard kit lens. So it's a lens that you'll find with a lot of like the DSLR Canon cameras. Reason why I love it is because I generally shoot between 18 to about 24, sometimes 35 mils with this lens, and that is for my flat lay photos. And because I have also that flexibility, and I guess I'll be honest, like I love like telephoto lenses or zoom lenses as they call it, the ones where you get like 18 mils to 135, 18 to 55. I like the flexibility. I like that like freedom I have of the type of photos I can take from a single lens. And so because of that kit lens, and because it's also like the lens I used once I got the 4000D and needed to like upgrade my content and the quality, that lens definitely was a lens that became a lens that I just had to learn how to use, how to stretch, like really maximize the output that the lens could provide for me. And for about maybe a year, 2 years, let's say, I only had that lens with the 4000D. I didn't start getting more lenses up until like the second year I'd owned the camera, the DSLR. So for like a year, 2 years, I just had this one lens. And so of course it meant trying to stretch its capabilities, and I realized like my sweet spot for flat lays is that 18 to 24 mils, sometimes 35 mils. I also like the sharpness, so you'll typically see a lens will have like an F number, maybe f1.4, f1.2. Your telephoto lenses or like your kit lenses, zoom lenses might say like f3.5 to 5.6. So basically referring to how wide the opening of the lens is. So the smaller the f-stop number, the bigger that opening of the lens is, meaning more light's coming in, which would mean that you'll get that nice like blurry background and someone's going to be really like in focus if you have a subject, versus if for example you have lenses with f-stop numbers of 3.5, 5.6, that basically means that the hole is like really small, so not as much light is coming in, and so everything is going to be in focus, everything, you'll see everything. And that's for me very important when it comes to flat lays, right? It's because I'm creating a scene on literally a flat surface, I need everything to be seen on the surface. I need all the products and the props to be seen so that you can understand like what's the story I'm trying to portray or tell, or what type of product that I have that I'm trying to highlight to you. So of course I need, my lenses to have higher f-stops, unless of course I'm using a different lens that has a smaller f-stop number, because I want to really blur everything else and only have something in focus. Which brings me to the next lens that I use, which is the Nifty 50, or the 50mm f1.8 as it's commonly known, referred to in the photography community. And yeah, this is a essential lens in my equipment / camera / content bag, because it really is such a beautiful portrait lens. Even though I'm not really like known as a portrait photographer per se, like it is something that I love to delve into. It is an art that I'd love to get back to this year, is taking more portraits, doing self-portraits as well. And a lens that I definitely would reach for is the 50mm. It's the 50mm right here. It's also, something that I do feature in some of my flat lays if I have like a specific product that I'm trying to highlight, and therefore I need everything else to be blurred because I want you to focus on this one particular aspect of the flat lay, or I have this one product that I want you to focus on, and so everything else would be blurred out. But yeah, like the 50mm lens really is an essential for me, because I really love it for like the portraits that I take, even for the photos that I take of myself sometimes that I share on the gram. It's just, it's such a nice lens to use. Also, if you want to do product photography, then the 50mm lens is also really great, because it really does a great job of like focusing on a particular product and having everything else blurry. So yeah, that's another essential lens that I use, that I love. It's a lens that I'll reach for if I want to take portraits or self-portraits, if I have a product focused type of a flat lay, or if I'm doing maybe more of like a product photography shoot, or I'm trying to focus, or I'm trying to take a photo of a particular product. Yeah, that's the 50mm. Okay, so audio wise, so this is kind of new, this whole getup setup. I bought this mic at the end or towards the end of last year, so I can't really say it's an essential like right now, because this is literally the first time I'm using this mic, and I'm hoping that the quality is pretty crisp. But yeah, we'll see. We'll update and keep you guys posted on how this microphone works. But a microphone that definitely was an essential, especially when I wanted to create videos and have really crisp audio for the sit-down type of videos that I was creating before. It's a microphone from Boya, B-O-Y-A. And this is really like, it was an inexpensive microphone. It's one that you could just attach to, either your camera if it had the little microphone jack, or in my case, because at the time, I was using a Canon, I remember it didn't have a microphone jack, so I had to attach the microphone to my phone and then sync the audios like in post-production, which really was just wow. Sometimes I wonder how I got through creating content for YouTube and do videos for Instagram. But anyways, I managed to make a plan. But yeah, I did find it to be very valuable and helpful to have an external microphone for creating content, and not to rely on like the in-camera audio per se, because the in-camera audio will pick up everything, right? Like if there's someone who's screaming outside in the streets, you might just hear it. If someone is in the kitchen in the room next door, you might just hear it, and the camera will pick it up, and it can be quite difficult to try and get that background noise out, unless of course you know how to use that type of capability in like software like Premiere Pro. But I really loved using that Boya because it had like what they call the dead cat, which is that fluffy, hairy little add-on that you could put to the mic, which really would help in muffling like background noise, and really make sure that if you speak to the camera, it picks up your voice a lot more. So if you are like a beginner YouTuber, beginner creator, and you want to up your audio game, up your audio quality, I definitely would advise you to get some type of external mic. But you don't have to necessarily get something that's super expensive or an elaborate setup like this. Like that Boya microphone for me was like perfect at the time that I needed it to be perfect. And that is pretty much everything on microphones. So the next equipment that's part of my content is my iPhone. My iPhone 12 that I got towards the end of last year. Prior to using my iPhone, I was using the Samsung Galaxy A7, which was like a 2018 model, and for a really long time, like, it really worked. I loved that camera. It really helped in terms of, being the bridge between any content that I would create on my phone, quickly edit that on my laptop and then get that onto my phone, and then off I can go post it and we're done. However, it was a bit like frustrating because it was an Android, and the whole like Bluetooth or having to connect my phone via a cable took really long, and just that extra time in terms of from the moment I'm done taking a photo to the moment I get to post it. It was quite a long long process. So I looked into getting the iPhone just because I upgraded to a MacBook, and what I loved was just the quickness in terms of, if I've taken a photo on a camera, I can put it in my MacBook, edit quickly, airdrop to my iPhone, post, and I'm done, right? Or even like my iPhone, because of the camera quality as well, take a photo, edit quickly, post, and go. And I think, in this world that we're living in where things just are happening so quickly and you're creating content on the go, I needed a phone that could help me do that. But I wasn't necessarily pressed for getting, an iPhone with the 3 cameras, just because for me, I already have top quality cameras, my mirrorless camera, my DSLR camera. I don't need an iPhone with 3 cameras and all of the capabilities that comes with, because I personally just trust the photos that my not real cameras, but I trust my mirrorless camera, and I trust my DSLR camera to give me the quality, and it does give me the quality that I want and prefer over just like the cameras of the iPhone. But not to say the iPhone cameras are terrible, like, they're great. I've been using the iPhone camera now to create content and share it on my Instagram, and I'm hella impressed. But it's also part of the essentials, mainly because it's also a workhorse for me, just carrying on with business, from like Canva for creating, let's say, Instagram stories, or needing to just quickly create like a post for my Facebook page or anything of that sort. Like, it's really like just helpful in terms of being able to not just be a camera for me when I need it to be, but I can actually also get on and do some work on my phone. So that's also another essential. Speaking of work, of course, chat about my laptop, which is the MacBook Pro. I believe this is a 2015 model, so it is like pretty old. But look, like, at the time I was using an Acer, which was really old, really in need of like upgrading, but like the machine was not able to keep up with the software. So I had to upgrade and get something that would keep up with the type of work that I do. So I got a MacBook, and I got it secondhand at the iStore pre-owned store, because honestly, like, the money that Apple charges sometimes for their devices is just outrageous if we're keeping it 100 plus 50. I got my laptop secondhand. I even actually got my iPhone secondhand as well. I'm really on this vibe of just getting things secondhand. There's no need for me to get something brand new, because one, like, I don't have that type of money to be buying these Apple products brand new. But 2, also I just feel like I'm playing my small part in just reducing the amount of technical rubbish that we're continually producing every day. With the rate at which we're always creating phones and creating just these new gear, I feel like phones from last year are still perfectly fine, but to chase the phone that will be released this year, then you have an old phone from last year, and it's just like, I'm so happy just to buy pre-owned things. Play my part in just reducing technical rubbish that we're creating. But that just took a left turn. Laptop. And again, laptop really is just my workhorse. It is from editing photos, editing YouTube videos, to just emailing clients, keeping up with clients, and just the conversations I have with brands. It's managing my personal brand, my website, blog. A laptop is naturally an important part of my entire content creation and photography process. And so it also is an essential that I have. Okay, so my next essential is probably going to be odd for any other photographer out there, just because it's like what? But it's an essential for me because I am a flat lay photographer, and so as much as, yes, I could use, like bed sheets and kitchen countertops and wooden floors and my tiles, sometimes I just need to take my flat lay photos to the next level. And so flat lay boards are really, 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 really 1000% important for me to have. I get all of my flat lay boards from a local South African business brand called Flat Lay Studio. I'll definitely link them down below. And yeah, like I have about 5 boards from them now. I have one that's like a solid like brown color. I've got marble, I have 2 wooden surfaces, and I've got like a charcoal slate. I just needed, I remember like it was, like 2019, when I just got really tired of using like my white bed sheet all the time. Got tired of using like the floor. I got tired of just not having a lot of variety with my flat lay photos because I didn't have a lot of variety with the background. And so luckily I got a really cool like campaign collaboration with Flat Lay Studio at the time, and it's just been such a positive relationship that I have with them, and they've really helped me take my flat lay photos to the next level. It's been so great to see them grow and I grow, and we're growing together. But yeah, I get all of my flat lay boards from them, and yeah, it's just really important for me to have the variety of boards so that I'm not restricted, in terms of the background that I use, because I am such a firm believer in like the background matters in your flat lay photos, right? Like if you can get that right, then working with props and trying to do product placement of things just will become a lot easier. But like the foundation of your flat lay photo really does begin with the background that you use. And so I need to have flexibility. I need to have like different varieties so that it just helps me produce the best flat lay photos, not just for myself, but for the brands and clients that I have. So yeah, flat lay boards are very important for me as a flat lay photographer, but even as a content creator, they're just, yeah, I love using my flat lay boards. So that's another essential for me. And then another essential that I've got, which is actually right here that I'm using now, is a reflector. Mine is incredibly huge, and I'm using it right now to bounce the light that's coming from my window in this way to just help light me on this side, even lighting and all of that jazz. But yeah, I have a reflector, and this one is like a 5-in-1 reflector that I've got. So it has like the diffuser, which is what I primarily use when I'm shooting flat lay photos or taking flat lay photographs. It's because I am a natural light photographer, both with the portraits that I take as well as the flat lays. But because I can't really control the sun in terms of like how much light it will give me, just having this reflector, and particularly the diffuser that I use, just helps me manage the amount of light that comes through, so that yeah, it just gives me a nice even distribution of light, and I don't have harsh shadows I need to work with. Like the reflector also has like a gold side to reflect warm colors, or it has like the silver side to reflect cooler colors. It has the black so it can absorb all the light and just be a blocker. I use a reflector primarily for the diffuser, so just to diffuse light for me. It's also a great diffuser for just like portraits that I take here at home, because yeah, sometimes I can't work with the harsh light that the sun produces in my apartment, especially because my apartment is pretty well lit, and I love that. I love the amount of free light that I have to work with. But yeah, it's just about trying to control the light by having a product that can help me do that. And so the reflector is exactly that for me. And yeah, I use it just about like 80% of the time with my flat lays and portraits that I take here at home. And yeah, that's it when it comes to extra equipment. I feel like that's really it. Hey, that's all of the essentials that I really use when it comes to creating content for social media, offline, photos, just managing my personal brand, website, videos. Yeah, those are the essentials, guys. I will try and link everything that I've mentioned in this video in the description below. And yeah, like leave your questions in the comments if you have any. I'd love to answer your questions on, you know, like the essentials and like the things that you really would need when it comes to creating content, based off of what you just watched from me. But yeah, that's it from me. The next video will dive into like the more in-depth, so the extra lenses that I have, the gimbals that I have, tripod, which I didn't mention. I should probably just talk about my tripod. Another essential is my tripod. So of course, tripod, I'm using that to hold my mirrorless camera so that I can do a video like this. And yeah, that really is like the essential when it comes to my tripod. It's mainly used for the creation of my YouTube videos. It's very rare that I'll use it for my flat lays, just because I'm a handheld photographer, I guess you'd say. Also, I haven't taken the time to invest in a proper tripod with a C-clamp or a C-stand where I can have my camera attached to that and looking down. I'd love to get that. Like, I really would love to get that. If I can get that this year, amazing. But yeah, because I don't have it, it's not an essential. I am a handheld photographer, so it's fine. But yeah, tripod is also another essential. It's just a lot easier for me knowing that my camera's on something stable. It's not gonna fly, go anywhere. That should be the end now. If you've enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you digged it, then yeah, let me know in the comments. And yeah, leave your questions, share your thoughts. From me to you, I'll see you in the next video.